Hello, I'd like to welcome you to the January Tech session of the MG Car Club of St. Louis. For over 30 years, we've done tech sessions live and in person at various locations. We've been in schools, we've been in shops, we have been in garages. We have always tried to give the membership fair due for what they invest. We're glad that you have an interest in MGs. We're happy that you're here watching this video. We hope to tell you that you are preserving a good automobile and you're opening yourself up to a world of friendship with good people. We're talking today about preparing your car for winter storage if you're going to put it away. Now, it's hard to give up something you really like, but we'll give you some tips. But I'd like to remind you that everybody has an opinion of what you should do. It's like noses. If you ever watch, people will try to put theirs into yours if they can. You get to choose what you want to do with your car. You get to choose how you take care of it. We're going to give you some tips. We're going to have a Zoom meeting after this that you can give us suggestions that we may have missed and you think are helpful. All right, beginning with, most of us are going to be having to take and limit how much we drive this winter. We'd like to have you prepare your car, if you are putting it away for an extended period of time, properly. They're a lot more fun if they make it through the winter without any real problems. So we'll begin with a list that we've developed that starts with the obvious. You're going to put your car away. You might as well wash it and wax it before you take and do that. We all have our favorite products. A good coat of wax polished off on all the paintwork will help preserve the automobile. Also, this is a good time to take, if you need to polish the chrome and possibly give a protective layer of wax over the chrome also. You may want to preserve the automobile slightly better by putting a dust cover or car cover on it. But please remember, if you do that, your car cover should be a breathable one, or else you may trap moisture underneath the car cover, which will affect the finish and the wax. Now, also, this gives you a chance, and we do realize this is January, and you probably may have done this already. Take and clean out the interior of the car. Cleaning the interior of the car removes things that you may have left over. The maps underneath the seat, the food that fell between the seats. Maybe those things might attract somebody to want to come eat them later that has 4 legs and fur. All right, you're going to vacuum. You're going to clean up. If you are the type that has a leather interior, you may want to consider adding some preservative to it at this point and taking care of it. At least try to make sure that you can roll up the windows, close the doors, and try to keep any small animals out of the car. I can assure you from experience, opening the hood on an MGA and finding a possum is not anything more than a real severe check of cardiac function. The basic thing you want to do is prep your car as if you have something else that wants to live in it. You also need to take a sincere look around your garage to see that it's also animal proof. In the springtime, it's no fun to remove dead squirrels from above the wiper motor on an MGB. All right, we've got clean, roll up windows, secure everything as possible, raise the top on the car. Now, brings us to a point, we're in a wonderful garage here. Some of you will be outside. Do not assume your convertible top is waterproof. It is water resistant, as some of the newer cars from England advertise. Be sure if you have side screens that your side screens are in place the best you can get them. That will help keep moisture out of your car. And remember also, you've removed anything that might be affected by moisture, such as your proof of insurance card required in this state. All right, we'll begin on the engine by checking a couple things. First off, antifreeze. We're in a beautifully heated garage. This garage will maintain a decent temperature and remove lots of concerns you might have about your car this winter. The problem is, in case the power goes out, this garage becomes a refrigerated box just at the same temperature as outside. So your antifreeze and your antifreeze level is extremely important to you. In this climate, and we're in St. Louis, Missouri, you need to probably provide protection down to at least minus 15 degrees. Now that requires you take an antifreeze tester and check the antifreeze. We're at the front of the car now. This is an MG-A, and many of you are familiar with this automobile. We were talking about antifreeze and that you need to have protection against freezing in your car. Your antifreeze, which is of course located in your radiator, is relatively easy to check if you take and have an antifreeze tester. Now this is a fairly good one. Some of them you will find only have floating balls for specific gravity. Okay, we're going to pull fluid up into the tester, and with a little luck, you'll see the red indicator go, in this case, now to minus 28 degrees. So as we look at that, you can easily see that this antifreeze is sufficient for this climate, which is St. Louis, Missouri. With a little bit of luck, I'll get that back on. And let's mention radiator caps on MGs. Back when these cars were built, they did not pressurize radiators as highly as they do now. Generally, about a 7-pound cap is what's suitable for an A, and early Bs, if you have an aluminum radiator, probably you could go a little more. While we're here, let's check other fluids. Now, there's always a debate that goes on about whether or not you could change your oil before you put it up for the winter, or wait till the spring to change your oil for the new driving season. Choice is yours. We'd like you also to remember that these are more difficult to change oil in than many new cars. Some MGs do not have canister filters that you can unscrew. They have a metal container and a separate filter that goes in. They work well. The problem is they're trickier. If you've got a TD, an A, an early B, you've got more of a concern. Take care if you're changing oil that you have no leaks whatsoever. Even a drop down the side of the filter on an A will eventually wind up causing an engine failure. Now, let's consider checking the oil. There's always a debate on whether you should change your oil before you put your car in storage or before you begin the next driving season. At least check the oil level now, and it's a good idea to write it down and record it somewhere. Now, going for the dipstick, which I sincerely hope all of you know, we want to check the oil level, and you'll see that on the dipstick, this shows at the max, and it is extremely clean oil. Back in the old days, the older oil got, the more it gained in odor, and it was kind of an acidic odor. So you can do a nasal appraisal of how good your oil is. Discoloration on a car like this is somewhat normal, but do take and figure on at least a yearly oil change with a quality product. And again, you can have all sorts of people tell you what oil you should use. And that's one that you will come to a decision on after your own diligent research. All right, I'm going to walk around to the other side of the car and I'm going to check master cylinder, which is on an MGA, both clutch and brake. Now we're over and we're going to check the master cylinder. On MGAs, the clutch master and the brake master are in one housing. On MGBs, you have two separate master cylinders. The fluid level should be up below the top of the cap. Do not overfill these, because when you pump the brakes, they may pump out brake fluid, which is going to attack the paint underneath of it. Now, if you can see in there, that's okay. You can check with your finger. The level on this one is okay. Write down, or be sure you remember that the level was adequate when you put the car away. Because when you go to pull it out in the spring, if this level has dropped down, then you're losing the fluid somewhere, either on a brake or on the clutch itself. Of course, on an MGB RC, that's easier to tell because you can tell which one might be leaking. All right, now, other things, couple things to save yourself a little trouble. You've also got oil in the top of the carburetors on FUs that slows the rate that the piston goes up and down. Please remember that needs to be a light oil. Some of the service manuals that were originally printed indicate that's motor oil. If you put in 2050 up there, your car will not start in the winter. You put in a good 10 weight oil, you'll have better luck driving if you want to. But we're putting it away for the winter. Be aware of that though. We also want to take and do a little preparation on the tires before you put it up for the winter. The debate can be whether you inflate them to the maximum amount or you inflate them to the normal amount that you would use on the tire. Again, a record of what they are now will tell you if you have a slow leak over the winter or not. If we want to check these, you will always find on a tire the maximum inflate possible. What we want to do, remove our cap and check to see what it is. You can actually somewhat change the handling characteristics of your car by modifying the air pressure in your tires, but that's an old trick. We come up and we show 28 to 30 pounds pressure in the tires. The maximum that it will probably say is 32 pounds. It really functionally doesn't make a difference for storage. Make sure you get your cap back on. And while you're down here, check the tire for how much tread you have. Generally, the old one was the distance from a dime's edge to Roosevelt's head, or each tire has a wear bar on it now that will indicate if you need something. Check for cracks because of age. We've discovered how to make high traction tires that wear out after about 6 or 7 years. If you're showing age cracks on this, consider replacing the tire, because nothing's really more important than your safety while you operate the automobile. Now, let's talk about gasoline. Gasoline is an extremely complex hydrocarbon that is mixed to give desirable characteristics. All gasoline in this area contains ethanol to some amount. Ethanol and other hydrocarbons in gasoline separate with age. You can always take and add a storage agent. This is Sta-Bil, and it is considered basically to be the standard in the industry. Read the directions, add some. You probably won't have problems with the gasoline. Now, we're in a wonderful facility here. We're in a great garage. How much gasoline do you want to put into it when you store your car? My basic thing is I keep the car probably at about 1/4 of a tank. enough to make sure I can get out with the car. I can warm it up and run it when necessary. I can take and be assured that on the way to the station, I don't die. I don't think I want to put a full tank of gas in a garage. And that's personal. Now, condensation. The condensation that you might get in your gas tank is about the same as you'd get underneath the sofa of your house or in your house. If you're outside storing, you're getting a different rate of condensation daily. Now, alcohol absorbs water in your fuel. The higher the alcohol, ethanol, the higher the octane of the gasoline because it burns slower. Now, that means it would also absorb more water. Before I start this car up in the springtime, I'm going to take and add a gallon or two of high octane premium gasoline because it will make the car run a little bit better, and will sit there and take and absorb any condensation I got. I used to not worry about that. But now, since I pulled a sending unit out of a British car that looked like it came off the bottom of the ocean, yeah, I want to take more care. So, now, where we're at comes up to, do you want to put a cover on your car? Here you have a wonderful garage again. It's clean. It has built-in vacuum. It has all the things you want. In fact, two of us are going to chain ourselves to the lift over there because we aren't leaving. Put a dust cover on your car. Also, make sure it doesn't wind up used to stack other things on for the winter. And that's a common problem around some households, and I do it, but I would recommend you don't.
Going.
Now, we have rigged a trickle charger to this battery. Batteries on MGs are a little bit more difficult to get to. There are people who keep their car on trickle charger all the time. These are low amperage 12 volt chargers. They range in price from under $5 up. You can recharge your battery before you put it in using a battery charger, or you can take your battery out. If you take your battery out, store it in a warm place, somewhere inside the house, down the basement. Batteries lose their efficiency if they cool and are outside. Please consider this is an important part of what you can do to help preserve your car for the winter. Now, you've checked the fluids, you've got the car prepared. Should you drive it? And the answer is, yeah. It's probably good to take the car out and drive it or roll it backwards so that you change the place on the tire that you have pressure. Now, flat spots are a topic that people can also have good debates on. My concept of a flat spot is caused by the water in the air in your tire condensing on the bottom of the tire. Driving it will warm that, cause it to go back into suspension, if you will, and doesn't cause a flat spot. Now, if you go out and you roll your car backwards, and about once a month start it, you want to get it to crank over, sit with it till it gets a good idle speed, let it warm itself up to normal operating temperature. Don't make a great racket because you have neighbors and no one wants to have noisy neighbors. Just ask the Canadians. Warm the car up and bring the car back in, checking to see that the tires didn't wind up in the same place. That means more than just an in and out. That means a good 45-degree day with sunshine and a couple trips around the block. So, enjoy the car. It doesn't have to remain solid and motionless. over the winter. We've pretty much covered things that we wanted to tell you. We're going to have a Zoom meeting, and at that Zoom meeting, if you have other ideas, you can give those to us. We can share amongst the people in the club, and we can share with those people who may be watching this accidentally. So we thank you for your time. We hope that you stay safe. We hope you stay well. Thank you.